Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results.
So stressful when the world's on fire. Good God. I can't look at this, guys. Like, my strategy is you buy it and you hope that you got a good spot. Yeah, but we all think you're crazy. You don't fight this. No way. The markets are freaking out and you don't think that anything is wrong? Come back tomorrow and I'll lose it all. Should be fun.
All right, guys. Well, new week. I guess a shortened week, huh? Doesn't really. It's Tuesday. Can you believe it? It's Tuesday. Well, I am still having the data issues. I've been in contact with EdgeClear. Hank, hopefully they get it worked out today. One of the issues is that, like, when they respond, it's like, I'm not here. So, but in the meantime, Steffa gave us his DOM thing that he's been working on for months and months and months. So we can use that without having to, like, move our Jigsaw license over to this virtual machine to do things. Oh, look, there he is. But man, I mean, I don't know how long it's gonna be like this, but let's just do the thing that I've been putting off, which is coming in here and making a 30-minute chart. Maybe I should go and get my advanced candlestick. And we'll do 90 days. Let's change the colors. Cornflower blue. Orange. Doji bars. And isn't there a outline color? Start with that. Good morning, Rox. Or good morning, Kevin. Of course. All right. Well, it's not looking good for the treasuries, is it? I'm trying to think here. Was it Friday? What time did all this drop-in happen on Friday? Because I don't remember that. Oh, that's right. Okay, now I remember. On Friday, there was some comments about who was going to be the Federal Reserve Chairman, I think it was. And they took a big hit, and now we're a little bit lower over the weekend. So treasuries are in a nasty spot. You have to excuse me. I might, like, pause at weird spots because I ate way too much last night, and my stomach is not happy. So I may at times have to pause because it's a little painful. Did Trump try to fire Powell? No. But they did kind of say, I think it was Hassert. I can't remember the details now. I think they said that they wanted to keep one of those two guys where they were. And I guess the market decided that they didn't like the other guy, or they're concerned about if there will actually be rate cuts this year with the other guy, because the one guy was kind of seen as more of a Trump stooge. Okay, so that's why the treasuries got hammered down. Now, another thing that's going on, though, is the Japanese yen. Let's come over here. Let's just duplicate a new tab and do the 6J. Okay. Well, the Japanese yen isn't doing as poorly. You can definitely see they are on the downside, though. But it looks like over the past 2 days, they've actually recovered a little bit. That's another factor going on. Is it's kind of funny, actually, to see... Oh, by the way, I need to move this over here. It's kind of funny to see the media approach it, because at first, I think they were kind of saying what it was, but then they moved to a more neutral tone. It's funny to me that when it's a foreign country, they're pretty even-handed about it, because they would never be that even-handed about it if it was the US. Basically, the new Japanese prime minister is very pro-growth and is saying, we're going to cut taxes and we're going to spend a ton and we're going to really ramp up this economy because we've been a low-growth economy forever. So the way that you hear it talked about in media is investors have decided that the Japanese, or that Japan, is no longer a low-growth economy. But the reality of it, like the partisan take on it, if you're a liberal or you're just what do we say, or you're just pessimistic, I guess you could say. I think the reality is Japan's going to take a lot more debt, and there's probably going to be a lot more inflation. So they think that Japanese interest rates are going to go higher. And that's kind of a problem for everybody else, because that screws up the carry trade and all sorts of other money flows. So Japanese yen has been a big part of all of this. Now over here, I want to come back. Let's add the order flow volume profile. Let's see here. Session volume, display mode standard. Well, let's just try that. Let's see what we get. Cool. So for that, I don't like that it just put a bunch of numbers on my chart. Let's do something about that. Show profile summary, is it that? Yeah, that helps. So I don't think it's just show value area. Yeah, we want that on. But how do I turn off the labels on the numbers? Something is happening where? Oh, let me make sure I got all my stuff up and running here. Now I have Twitter open. Hard selling ES. Okay. Oh, do I have the live data on here? I do. Okay. Let's fix that. So, Davos, France's Macron, we will be committed in 2026 to have a stronger Europe. Dissent. President is worried that the U.S. would be called to defend Greenland in case of an incursion. Oh no, my new squawk says it is Japan. though. It is. It is. Japan is spiking hard. Well, let's get our treasuries up here. Forget which one of these symbols recenters things. There it is. Okay. So wow, the treasuries got hit hard. Percent tough to disengage treasury moves from Japan. I am not getting what exactly was in Japan that happened though. Yeah, let's pull up ES2. Also, we'll put the treasury all the way over here. And then, I have to find it now. Add a new DOM. PS. Pick multiplier of 4. Oh, is it not showing my... That's a little bit better. On this one, let's get rid of the order in the notes. And where is it? Oh, no, that's not here. It's time range. Seems like that the default trading hours thing doesn't work for me, at least. So let's just let's see here. We want this to go from the 19th at 1600, I think. And then you end. Let's see here. No, that's 3, 4. So actually, I want to go till 16, and this starts at 17, I think. There. Oh, the volume profile. What's wrong? The wrong direction. There we go. Okay. Now, got to figure out where on this a volume profile cumulative delta how to turn off the labels. You know what? I gotta turn off. So there's this delta column. That is kind of interesting. But it is too distracting to me. Well, it looks like the treasury's stabilized, but the S&P 500 is still down big. Take a predefined one. Where do you set the predefined one? Like if I come back into here and I say trading hours. Oh, I guess I could just say CBOT interest rates ETH. Yay! Oh, and we got to change the volume profile to be the other side. And scroll so that it centers correctly. There. That's a little better. I do find that if you don't have the volume profile up, it's really hard to get yourself oriented. You know what I mean? I don't use it for entries or anything like that, but having the DOM there without the volume profile is a little bit disorienting. So maybe I subconsciously use it more than I realize. Okay, so for NinjaTrader's order flow, volume profile, it is drawing labels at the value area high, value area low, and point of control. And I don't want those. How do I change it? I think if I turn these off, the labels probably go away. No, they don't. Maybe there's something else that I'm not realizing. So wait, if I turn it off, oh, that's interesting. Does not go away. Is definitely point of control though. Maybe I just need to change these ones. Like if I change this to transparent. Oh, not initial point of control. This point of control. Transparent. Yes. Wow, that's annoying. go. Okay. Now I can duplicate this in a new tab. Pull up the ES. Okay, so the S&P 500 is down over the weekend because Donald Trump has really turned up the heat on the whole Greenland thing. Man. You know, it was a pretty ugly move over the weekend, like a pretty big weekend gap, but it's really just going back to like where we were at the beginning of the year. So the size of that move in and of itself doesn't necessarily bother me, but we could definitely get into momentum short territory. And the issue is that like nobody really had any protection. So there is a real risk of SPOOs just turning into a dumpster fire here. If they are able to like pull something out this morning. I mean, the fact that we're lower overnight doesn't help either. But if they're not able to claw something back, then tomorrow could start to get more ugly. We should also pull up gold here. Or, well, okay, oil. Oil matters. Oil's where it was. Gold. Gold should be up big over. Yeah. Ooh. Oh, it looks good. Silver looks pretty amazing, man. Remember here when it was like, hey, the bull market in silver is over. Blah, 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 blah. Hey, the bull market in silver is over. And then we were here and it was like, they're going to sell it next week because of the index rebalancing. Oops. What a trend. What a trend there in that silver. Okay, so what do you guys think of the Greenland thing? I am honestly I don't think Donald Trump realizes the amount of political capital he is burning with this Greenland shtick. I think he thinks we need to make some sort of a deal in Greenland. Of course, I need to stake out the most extreme position that I possibly can to give myself a better position for negotiating. And then you're negotiating, you need to come in and apply pressure. So, of course, we need to come in and make the Europeans all scared and all of that. But what he's not realizing is that, like in business, you know, it's money and you're making money. In foreign policy, well, I guess there's security, but like they don't have to do anything. Like you're just kind of burning goodwill and freaking everybody out. I mean, did you see the text message he sent Sweden? Everybody said that it was fake, but like Sweden themselves put it out later as that it was a text message. So like now I actually kind of think that maybe that shows that it's working. Like his objective is for Sweden, everybody else to just think that he's absolutely nuts, right? That he'll do whatever crazy thing when it's really all just negotiating. But it worked. They freaked him out. So I came over here. I haven't been able to read this story yet, but one of the top stories on Zero Hedge this morning. Why JP Morgan's desk thinks the Greenland standoff ends in a bullish negotiated arrangement. Well, let's read a little bit of this. Trumpism is causing some volatility, and it is hitting markets at a point where there is an orange flag on the risk of an equity drawdown. The main incremental news is that the U.S. is now floating a 10% tariff on some EU countries over the absence of a deal to sell Greenland, while the EU responds with posturing as it considers retaliatory levies and the use of anti-coercion instrument, while saying that the U.S.-EU trade deal struck last year could now be jeopardized. When they're saying the use of the anti-coercion instrument, is that selling treasuries? Because I keep seeing people talk about selling treasuries, like Europe selling their treasuries. And I think that would just be like the dumbest move ever for Europe. So I don't think that it's actually the Europeans or anybody smart pushing that one. But is that what caused the huge sell-off in treasuries? No. So coming back here really quick. Do I have to maximize it again? Yeah, over here. ZN. Oh. Okay. This sell right here on Friday was because of comments about who the Federal Reserve Chairman is likely to be. One of the Federal Reserve Chairman is kind of thought of as being like a super pro-Trump stooge that will just do whatever Trump wants and will lower interest rates as quickly as possible. And the other one is seen as a little bit more serious. And right now, the market thinks that the more serious one is going to be the Federal Reserve Chairman. And that means less chance of interest rate cuts, especially since we see the economy, which was really, really rough in the fourth quarter, recovering after the government shutdown has kind of passed. So, like, consumer spending is looking really good. Unemployment was still really low. And so they're now starting to think, well, maybe we don't get any rate cuts in 2025. Or 2026, rather. My head is still in 2020. It's been 6 years? What? No. Pretty soon we're going to be saying it's a decade since COVID. I'm still traumatized. Anyways, so that was the initial down. Some of this might be because of Greenland. No, the sudden... Hold on. The big move down that we saw in the ES and the treasuries, from my understanding, was likely a reaction to something in Japan. But I am not getting what the headline is exactly. Kind of missed it. Let me see, actually, if I go back, maybe I missed it. The Senate was speaking in Davos. So that's one thing, is that the speeches in Davos can have effects on financial markets. So this is something to keep our, to stay sharp on. Well, it may have been Treasury Secretary Besant's comments at Davos, but my understanding is, or at least the news squawk was saying that it was a reaction to news in Japan, but we just never got what exactly that news was. And if you come in, you look at the Japanese yen, there was a pretty big spike there that then came back. So, but let's not worry about it for now. Okay, we were, oh geez. Yeah, this one right here. I think we need to read this from an art of the deal perspective. Yes, that's correct. Trump creates noise and throws a maximal stance designed to trigger negotiation and create leverage/urgency. Ultimately, I would be surprised even if we get to a MSD drop, because it doesn't seem like a particularly difficult issue to resolve. And this might as well happen at Davos. Yeah, Davos probably is the reason why it's happening now. The most likely outcome is a negotiated arrangement that expands U.S. security, economic presence in the territory, and addresses U.S. stated objectives: stronger Arctic security posture, enhanced early warning for missile defense, and access to Greenland's natural resources, while Denmark preserves sovereignty. A sell is less likely because the U.S. does not need formal territory control to achieve the stated objectives, and it would seem hard to get approval from both Denmark and Greenland. An invasion is really a tail outcome. For more than one reason, pulls horribly with voters, and needless to say, it would melt NATO faster than Arctic ice. Yeah, I think that's correct. So, on the Greenland thing, like think about this for a second, though, because there are some issues here. Like, because with the way that he talks, it kind of almost sounds like that he thinks that there should be an amount of investment in Greenland that would like double the population. Like, there's only 50,000 people in Greenland. Can you believe that? You move the right military unit over there, make a larger military base, you can like instantly double the population there. I remember, well, I don't know how many people it was. I think that they added like 10,000 people. But I when I was a missionary for the LDS Church, one of the areas that I worked in was this in Manhattan? Or was it? Yeah, it was in Manhattan. And in Manhattan, Kansas, there's a big army base. And they moved the largest army unit, which they call Big Red 1, to Manhattan, Kansas, when I lived there. So in the I think I was there 3 to 6 months. Okay. In the short 3 to 6 months that I was there, the cost of an apartment there like doubled or tripled. It was crazy because so many people come over. Moving with that, it's a lot of people. So the amount of investment that the U.S. is talking about should be happening in Greenland really would be a really positive thing for the residents of Greenland. There's not much there. They would probably benefit monetarily from what the president wants to do. Okay, but it's kind of like you bring all those people over and then you've got civilians coming over and they need health care. Well, Greenland uses Denmark's healthcare system, socialized healthcare system. So how do you get, like, how does that work? Will they even treat you if you're not, will they work with US payers? How does that work? And that ends up being like one of the biggest barriers to the people of Greenland wanting to become part of the United States. They'd lose their socialized health care. It's too far of a bridge. So I think the idea that the United States purchases Greenland is a little unrealistic. I think it's a little unrealistic. Donald Trump is probably just bluster to get a better negotiating position, as JP Morgan states. In fact, last night, I think it was, Scott Bessent was making comments about this, saying, you know, well, like everybody got all panicked and it was like a media hysteria when we were negotiating with tariffs, and you guys need to just let it play out and see what happens. Okay, fine. Let it play out. Let it play out. I mean, the thing is that I don't think this whole thing is really kind of weird, because the position that Donald Trump is voicing in his public comments, like on Twitter, on Truth Social or whatever it's called, I really agree with. Like, this has been an issue for like 20 years. In conservative circles, I've heard people talking about this for a very, very long time, that the Europeans don't take Arctic security seriously enough. And it really is kind of more of a U.S. problem. The U.S. security is more at risk than Europe, and you can just kind of see the way that things have been going is like Europe. If it's for Europe's benefit, then yeah, we have to do it, and it's like absolutely urgent. And then when the United States needs something, they're like, "Oops, we can't. You know, we're out of money. I'm sorry." Like they just don't take it seriously. I really don't feel that we can trust the Europeans with American or world security anymore. I think that they're a little bit too selfish, a little bit too much for themselves. I think that they're a little bit incompetent, frankly. And that the whole euro is just like, from every measure you look at it, politically, socially, it's all going downhill. Their economy is not growing very well. They're being flooded by immigrants. I'm not even sure like it's going to be that they'll be Western countries anymore in 50 years. Because it might just be one gigantic caliphate over there in Europe. So it absolutely, I think, makes sense that the United States needs to not rely on its partners as much for security, particularly in the Arctic, which is likely to be like the next battleground. It's the battleground of the future is the Arctic. Okay, that's how I feel about it. And that's what Donald Trump is saying. But I don't actually think Donald Trump believes any of that. I think he's just saying it for negotiation. At the same time, it's clearly it's not realistic that the United States takes over. I mean, that would be crazy if the United States did take over Greenland, and I guess they would like work it out. But it would be a real mess, I think. I think it would be a real mess. So, I guess that means that if we get a dip here, I want to buy, but hold on, there's another problem. There's another problem, folks. The Democrats want to shut the government down again. I am very concerned and bothered by this. They have decided that immigration is their issue. And when I say immigration is their issue, I mean like they think that it benefits them to be as noisy as possible about immigration. Yeah, Democrats in Virginia going full tilt. I mean, that's a little bit of a different issue, but it does seem tied somehow. Like in my mind, it seems tied because the Democrats basically took the majority in Virginia, and it was right away all sorts of stuff. And most of the things are things that like I would just kind of expect Democrats to do because those are the kinds of things that the Democrats think and believe in. Like they want to enshrine abortion in their constitution, for instance. Right? But then like some of the other things that they did were like under no circumstances can votes be hand counted. What? Like what? Isn't that a little bit suspicious? Like, I think the thing with Virginia is that Virginia was always kind of tilting left and getting more left. And the GOP was just kind of lucky that they were able to get a few periods where we were able to kind of claw back things a little bit. So I think that what's happening in Virginia was always kind of inevitable. But it really shows you what Democrats will do if you put them in power anywhere else. Are you watching Colorado? That's the first one on my mind is Colorado. You'll let the lefties get a stranglehold in Colorado. That's what they're gonna do. Yep, and they build the election structure to allow for illegals to vote. Yeah, well, and it's really quite crazy because the left has become so triggered by this issue. And then the politicians are like, oh, great, we can use this to try and help improve our, demographics. It's really quite wild. And I'm probably thinking that you won't see Republicans do very well in Virginia from here on out. The data in yes is incorrect. Oh, you know what? I think because I put it in wrong. I said, okay, let's just do this. But if I come in and I set it to the CME, where is it? CME index, right? Or make me go all the way here to the instruments. CME US index futures. Oh, maybe I was looking in the wrong spot. CME. Yeah, there it is. US index futures. There we go. They'll build the legal structure to ensure Virginia is a one-party state because Democrats have strength of will. Republicans push just enough meme stuff and AI slop to distract voters from the fact that they do not. Well, I digress. What was I getting into? Oh, I was getting into the government shutdown, right? So the thing that's really wild about it to me is that from the polling that I see, nobody agrees with the Democrat position on immigration. Americans don't think that we should have open borders. They are concerned about election integrity and, you know, that you should be able to, that you should have to have an ID to vote and things like that. And somehow Democrats are able to push these positions and like not get punished for it. But I think the reason they're able to get away with it so the yen is talking about, you know, possible FX intervention. We want markets to calm down is what they're saying. So that's boosting treasuries a little bit. Anyways, I think the reason that they're able to get away with it is because it animates their base so much, and animating the base is the most important thing for them getting elections. Like, it's particularly in the midterms. Like this whole thing in Minnesota, because like especially now, man, do you guys see the whole thing with the church where activists like stormed the church and everything? Like, I really think that that's like a mistake. Like, that's a self-own. That people are not going to react positively to that. But you know what? Far left Democrats, they hate Christians, they hate churches. They're totally fine with it. And the number of people that they lose in the mill probably doesn't matter as long as they get their people animated and out to vote, you know? But I'm also kind of like, well, I don't know. The thing that the Republicans are really on about right now is that Pam Bondi hasn't done anything, right? And you can do election integrity laws and everything like that, but like there's a real limit to what you can do at the federal level. So I don't know. You notice Donald Trump has talked about election integrity and that we need to do something on that, but he's kind of, nothing's happened. And meanwhile, they're like throwing the kitchen sink on housing affordability and these other things, just throwing out every dumb idea that can possibly make people think that they're doing something about it. It's kind of, I think the reality of it on the Republican side is that the Republicans just don't know what to do about it. The Democrats are just following through on a strategy that they've been doing for 30 to 50 years. Republicans are still like, how do we stop it? But I digress. Democrats are going to shut down the government at the end of the month. They're going to say, like, we're not going to fund the government unless you defund ICE. Which means very likely to get a government shutdown. And just like before, it's likely to be a really long government shutdown. And in fact, it may well be the case that they just keep it shut down all year until the midterms. Can you believe that? I don't know. It turns again into, at what point is there enough pain out there that one side is going to give in? Republicans will eventually capitulate because, unlike Democrats, they're too terrified to kill the filibuster. Well, yeah, because if Democrats killed the filibuster, and then as soon as Republicans got in power again, They wouldn't do anything with it. Yeah. They'll lose their tiny majority and then they'll impeach Trump again. Well, yeah, but who cares? Honestly, I mean, I think that Donald Trump is awfully bothered by it. He doesn't want to go through that again, but like, does it really matter? Nothing's going to come out of it. Like, they try to impeach Donald Trump every month anyways. There's a thin blue line on the side of the screen, and I can see it. It's driving me crazy. There we go. It is kind of demotivating when you kind of see the incentive structures of our current political system, which includes social media. I really think that the change to things from social media are playing a really big part here, because it used to be that representatives were representatives and nobody really knew what they were doing most of the time, and it was up to them to investigate the issues and just make the best decision for the country. And especially in the Senate, they were always very, very considerate and careful and all that sort of a thing. And now with social media, everybody knows everything about what's going on. And so people in Congress are incentivized to do whatever it is that will juice up their base the most, and to do the thing that will bring them the most voters. And the political system is just cannibalizing itself, and it's very disappointing to watch. Ever since basically 2006, I would say, it's just been like a slow and steady decline, and I really don't think there's anything you can do to stop it. And it's not a right or a left thing. Like, if the right had made some, because I mean, I think the argument you're kind of making, Uzi, is like, well, Republicans need to be better strategically. You need to do this and you need to do that, or you're not going to have the choice pretty soon. But I really think that if the Republicans were a little bit more sly and they did do all of those things, that we would still be generally going the same direction. It's kind of what I think. And I don't know, this just kind of more broadly, I just feel really dissatisfied with social media these days. Like, when I'm bored and I pull the phone out, and what am I going to do? I'm going to load up Facebook. I'm going to load up Reddit. I'm going to load up YouTube and Twitter. And every one of those platforms just disappoints me. YouTube has become such trash. It's kind of funny because, like, the number of videos out there's not enough videos for the audience. But then everybody went the Mr. Beast route. So, like, all of the content is just trash. It's just all trash content on YouTube. TikTok, they changed. I used to get interesting viewpoints from people, see what people are thinking about different issues and things like that. And now, like, I don't even, what is even going on TikTok? It's not like entertaining short things anymore. It's not, I mean, TikTok is probably the best of them right now in terms of entertaining me, but it's still not very good. And then Facebook, Well, Facebook is turning into a ghost town, frankly. Because you don't actually see the people that you care about. It used to be that it would show you the people that like you had the most proximity to and all these sorts. Now you don't even get to see all your people. Stupid. It's so stupid. And Reddit, oh my gosh. Reddit's the worst of them. I mean, Reddit's always been the worst of them. But it used to be that I was still worth putting up with all this stupid political crap and everything on Reddit because there was like tech news and these other kinds of stories, right? And now it's just like it has narrowed down to one viewpoint so much that like you don't even get the interesting stories anymore. It's like unless they can use that story to rail on billionaires, it's not going to go to the front page. It's just so dumb. There's just not, I don't find much good content on Reddit. And so like if I've got like some downtime, you know, I got to wait on something to complete or something like that. It's not as much content for me to read. There's not as much, I just can't justify being online as long as I could. And you'll sit there and you know that you're not going to get anything, but like you got nothing better, so you still scroll. I hate it. Read a book, I guess, but so you need something for different energy levels, right? Something to do when I'm low energy level that isn't like too demanding and isn't tedious. Because I think the things back in the day that you would do during those times, like what would people do before television came along, right? Cross stitching, I don't know, like all of the hobbies that my wife does are tedious to me. Putting together puzzles, cross stitching. She do these little bead pictures where it's like the picture has you get this big sticky paper and it has like numbers on it that correspond to different colors, and then you put the colors on and stick it. Tedious. I don't get what they find But then the things that I want to do that require a little bit of mental energy, And when you don't have the mental energy, so what do? Oh, I know. Let's watch a movie. All the movies are trash. Let's watch a TV show. They're all trash. It's really like they're just gonna bore conservatives to death is what it is. That's the real plan. Bore conservatives to death. And I keep thinking like, well, eventually it'll change because I realize that it's not, people don't like it and yada yada. No, it's not. It's not changing. It just keeps being terrible. And my only conclusion is social media was a mistake. The internet is cool. Talking to people is cool. The way that social media works is fundamentally flawed. And there's too late to change it. So it's just going to suck for the rest of our lives. So this is what we do. We sit and there's always the market. The market always is engaging. It's the one thing we've got. Right? But and Stardew Valley. There's Stardew Valley. If you haven't played Stardew Valley, guys, that's a game. It's a good game. So I was thinking I had some clothes upstairs in the wash, so I think I should go and switch them. So go do that now. Think if I want to rant about social media some more or what. Denmark Prime Minister says the Americans have known about our increased presence in the Arctic all along. I don't think it's enough. Okay, I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. So let's go back to this comment. You got to look at it from a reactionary standpoint. The Democrat base will accept any means necessary at this point, while Republicans are pooping the bed and posting memes Democrats can storm. Well, I don't know. The thing in Minneapolis, because what I see from the righties is you need to invoke the Insurrection Act, right? That's what the right thinks right now. And I don't agree with that. I did a little bit of research on this, and the Insurrection Act has been used by presidents many times, some presidents multiple times. And it doesn't, it can go different ways politically. And the biggest kind of like determinant as to whether it helps or hurts the president politically is how the state itself feels about it. So if the state itself is begging the president to invoke the Insurrection Act, then it's fine. But if the state opposes it, then it tends to be bad for the president. So I would say invoking the Insurrection Act is probably a bad call. It's probably a bad call. I think that you just let them continue to make fools of themselves. There's this pendulum, you know. They get too crazy, it does swing back the other way. People do look at these things. A lot of independents are moving away from the Democrat Party. Remember that the Democrat Party is not popular right now. It's very unpopular right now. Right, so but it is true, the far left, the communists have always been by any means necessary. I mean, that's really the entire basis of communism, is that in order to get this utopian socialist society that we want, it has to be done through force. But you just got to remember that communism is a fundamentally evil ideology, and as an evil ideology, it will always cannibalize itself, essentially. So on those things, you just kind of got to sit back. See, the thing that I see going on doesn't necessarily lead to like a, you know, America on the slow march to socialism. No, I don't think so. I think that what I see instead is a slow march to mediocrity. Like right now, over the past year, the first year of Donald Trump's term has been mediocre economically. Would you agree with that? We had the tariffs kind of hurt things, and then we had the government shutdown kind of hurt things. You look at the GDP numbers, the GDP numbers look really great. You look at the headline on unemployment, it looks pretty great. But under the surface, it's like anybody that's unemployed, it's like really nasty. A lot of jobs are kind of being replaced by AI, and like nobody's really happy, even though all the numbers are kind of going up. And then you look at this year, and it's like, well, okay, maybe we have the opportunity now. They really juice things up, and things look really good going into the midterms. That could help Republicans. But then we're going to have a government shutdown. Like our perpetual government shutdown that lasts until the midterms, maybe. Like, can you imagine the government being shut down from the end of January all the way to October or November? Oh my gosh. It's so crazy. This is like a 10-month Shut down. We might. This is going to cause economic carnage. Right? But it's not going to like destroy the economy. It's just kind of be like, well, businesses don't want to hire. It's just going to be mediocre. Can you completely close the ES and reload it with a custom range? I think there's something wrong with the market subscriptions, so the limit orders are wrong. Oh, you think so? Not quite sure I follow. So one thing I should do is take this template, save it, set as default, close that, close that. I really hope we get our data issues sorted out tomorrow, because I just, we could have taken some trades in this stuff. Use predefined trading hours, CME, US index futures, ETH. Okay. So yesterday we spent, and Steffa and I spent a little bit of time changing the colors or the font of this. I know, something, but I'm kind of liking this font. I kind of dig the font. I think I might go and change Jigsaw to use this font. Who am I kidding? I'll change it in Jigsaw and be like, it doesn't look like Jigsaw. Oh, I forgot to set the multiplier. Well, let's just leave it that way. Let's leave it that way for now. Maybe it was the multiplier that was screwing it up. Okay. So going back, I don't know if Uzi is still there, but another thing that Uzi said where it's like Republicans don't do anything. Because like, really, Congress doesn't do anything. Okay. But the president can do things. Well, but the president has actually done a lot of things. Maybe too much. But I think that what people really want to see is the Department of Justice doing stuff, right? So Republicans think, oh, they're not doing anything. Meanwhile, here's Thomas Sowell quoting Eric Holder. We are witnessing the weaponization of the Department of Justice. We are observing Gestapo tactics by federal immigration law enforcement in Minnesota. This is a concerted effort to desegregate America. Just bonkers, man. Like the view here is so radically different and skewed, I think. Like, no, what they're doing actually. So you want to know how you solve the Minnesota thing? Here's how you solve the Minnesota thing. When a criminal is sentenced and serves out a sentence, they are then turned over to immigration enforcement and deported. That's what it is. If somebody is a criminal, you deport them because they weren't supposed to be here in the first place. Okay? Something like 50, it's only 50% at this point, I think. It was 50% that were like convicted of a crime, and then the rest are regular immigration orders. Okay. But if all they did was just hand them over to immigrants, because the thing is they have these laws that basically prevent the police from helping ICE at all. That's all you'd have to do, is because then they wouldn't have to go out and like, grab people at homes or anything. They would just take them at the prison. Problem fixed. But here, us enforcing borders, enforcing the law is somehow like trying to desegregate America, like, or trying to segregate America. It's so ridiculous. And they think, oh, we are weaponizing the Department of Justice And meanwhile, the Republicans are like, they're doing nothing. What? Yeah, we don't have the street activity to the same degree. They just pick them up at just... The thing that I think is so ridiculous about, well, a great many things, but what's going on in Minneapolis in particular is that in conservative states, we don't have these problems, guys. The police work together with ICE to enforce the law. And criminals, illegal immigrant criminals, are deported. And then that's that. And then crime goes down and everybody's happy. Except for the person that got deported. But, you know, you shouldn't have broken the law. It's just, we don't have these problems. People, like, I really don't see, you know, like, if you talk about Florida, you know, like, what are the concerns about conservative states? Like, oh, I can't get an abortion. That'd be one of them. That's probably the biggest one. And then it's like all of the conservatives judge me. Like, what conservative states are doing is working really, really well. And then you look at places like Minneapolis, it's an absolute dumpster fire. And I can't imagine how anybody can see the results and think, oh yeah, that's the way we need to do it. I don't get it. In Illinois, our governor just passed a law making it legal to fully cover up and erase nonviolent crimes a couple of days ago. That might not sound bad to you, but everything is nonviolent. Oh man, that sounds terrible to me. Like my opinion is, you give people lots of freedom. You give them lots of leeway. You show them where the edges are. But if they break the law, you drop the book on them. Because otherwise, there are incentives to break the law. You can make money breaking the law. There's all sorts of reasons why people break the law. The punishment has to be hard enough that just nobody ever dare cross the line. You go to Singapore. I'm not saying we should be Singapore, but people don't break the law in Singapore. But then you get the people that will say, well, that's what communists want to do, right? Communists want to create lawlessness because it helps them. Tell you what happens with ICE next. Since Illinois can legally cover up almost all crimes, it will all be illegal on paper again to deport because they aren't criminals anymore. This won't affect normal people in a positive way at all. It's literally called the second chance law. Small nonviolent crimes don't stop jobs anyways. Oof. It was just like in California where they changed things to be like, if you're stealing under a certain amount, it's not a crime. And then, of course, theft went up. But then they say, no, it hasn't. But then Republicans say, well, because you're not collecting the statistics anymore. France minister just said something about US-EU trade deal. I think he was maybe saying to suspend the trade deal over Greenland. I don't know. We'll see. As genius because normies believe that stuff, especially post-World War II liberal boomers. Yeah, you know what though, Uzi, I don't know if post World War II liberal boomers are even paying attention. You know. Well, So if there's like something happens in the market, right? And I talk to my wife, she doesn't know about it. Like most people don't look at these things. And there's only certain really narrow issues that like really bubble up to like everybody's heard about the shooting in Minnesota. My wife was really analyzing it. Everybody want to analyze the video and try and figure out what was going on. It's actually kind of still crazy to me that we don't have better views of the guy like actually getting hit. Like there's some views that show, I think, pretty clearly that that there was contact and probably did bruise him, but like not one that's like from a position that really is able to show it. But even though there's all these people there with cameras. Go figure. Anyways, that will filter up to the top. But even when that filters up to the top, like people's view of it is highly distorted. Like probably most of them don't know that she was in fact blocking the road for several minutes before that happened. Right? So, like, when it's like, the normies believe that stuff, they're just not paying attention to begin with. Said it so many times, who knows if you guys even actually believe me. I will swear it to anyone. Illinois' crimes is 1,000 times higher, and it isn't recorded at all. Seriously, tons of crimes. We have, don't get me wrong, we have ICE protests here in Florida, but they just don't have the balls to riot. They're almost exclusively boomers. Even the protests in deep blue cities are mostly boomers. Well, so, but I wouldn't consider the woman that got shot a boomer, right? I wonder what the demographics of it are, actually. Because we definitely do see boomers. But I think that you're going to see more and more that it's millennials. Like, one of the things that is just burned into my memory from when I was younger, because when I was younger, it was the internet forum days before Facebook came about. Facebook didn't come about until after my mission. There was a whole thing. I was on internet forums, and there would be people on internet forums that were just outright communists. Maybe there would always just be like one of them. There'd be one of them, and there'd be all of these adjacent people that you kind of knew, like, well, they would always argue with them and stand with them, but claim that they weren't communist just because they're too afraid to identify themselves as communists. But I think that they all agreed with him, right? That's the way I always saw it. And it was always so shocking to me that there was people online that were communists. It was shocking to me at the time that anybody would ever identify as a communist. It's just absolutely crazy. And as time's gone on, I realize more and more and more that the way that the internet is set up kind of helps them recruit. And millennials fell for it hook, line, and sinker. And there is this massive number of socialist, sympathizing millennials out there. And when the millennials really take over politically, like it's starting to happen, but it's not quite there. But when millennials really truly hold the political power in this country, so another 10 years, they're probably going to institute a ton of socialist policies and it'll be a dumpster fire for a while. Won't be the slow march to communism, because what'll happen is every time that they do it, people will immediately realize how stupid it is and go back to. They'll see, oh, like New York is just been completely decimated, and meanwhile Austin is growing. Maybe what they're doing in Austin works. Retirees and unemployed rage addicts. Yeah, but I mean, more broadly, the human mind is just not equipped to deal with this stuff. I don't know if I'm different because I've just been online for so long, or if I'm different because of trading, or because of ADHD, or if I'm not actually different. I can definitely remember some times where I was really, really obsessed about a political issue or whatever, and I was arguing about it. And I was like, I need to just stop arguing with people about it. So maybe I'm not different. Tell you what, the E-mini has sure been a whipsaw today. I'm curious to see how the retail traders react to this. Like what kind of posts I'll see on Reddit and so forth about this. Because there's definitely seen a lot of retail traders struggling lately. I don't know if they'll like this or not. Usually when it whipsaws that hard, people struggle with it. But new function in NinjaTrader? Or you can see the... Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, that. What about that? Do I still have that open? Pulse. There it is. Yeah, Uzi, check this out. Oh, come on. Why is it not working? Let me try reopening it. So if you go into NinjaTrader and you go to your control center, and there's a new item in the latest version called Pulse. I don't know if it's the latest version, but you come in here and then I guess that's the account. Oh, it's not working. Worked the other day for us when we pulled it up the first time, and we're like, what? Pulse offers insights on actual positions taken by NinjaTrader users. This data is served for educational purposes only and does not represent a trading recommendation by NinjaTrader. And then you click accept. Could be valuable to just do the opposite. Well, that's what I'm thinking. But I'm a little shocked that NinjaTrader thinks that this is like a great feature that people want in there. It's the latest version. I don't know if it was in the version previous to this, but this is 8163. There was a new version released like Friday or something like that, or in the past week. Anyways, because I'm sitting here like, I don't want my data to be aggregated and given to everybody. I don't want my positions to be sent. If you actually understand markets, this should be infuriating. This should be like, well, I'm not going to use NinjaTrader at all if you're you're collecting these kinds of statistics about my positions, and you're giving it to everybody. And then even if you get rid of this, maybe you're going to be selling it to the people that pay for it. It's a popular thing in bucket shops on the Forex side. That could be a humor indicator. Every time it moves a bunch will probably humor me knowing money has been lost. Well, I don't know how often it updates. I can't believe that, well, what will you be switching to? Well, I use Jigsaw for my traits, so I would not show up in those stats. My positions wouldn't show up in those. Granted, there's no guarantee that Jigsaw doesn't do stuff with our data, but NT is owned by Kraken now, which honestly has low-key made me doubt any of our trades will be real at this point. Kraken's a crypto exchange. I wish I could. I don't understand why it won't open. It worked yesterday. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. It lights up when I move over it, but it doesn't. What if they are already secretly copying your trades? Well, probably not. Probably not copying them. What I would do with this kind of data is I would first wait for when I have a pretty good, something that gives me a strong, what are we looking for? Predictor, a strong predictor of future order flow. Like it's a rebalance, an index rebalance day. And I know that we're likely to move up. And then I'm going to come over here to the Pulse and I'm going to wait for all of the retail traders to be on the opposite side of that and trade against them. That's when I would do it. So look for when I know that the retail traders are offsides. And trade against them, yeah. What about if I show tabs, properties? Well, I don't know why it doesn't work. It's funny, because it definitely did work yesterday. There definitely is a thing, though, that like how many retail traders are genuinely trading futures, like that their orders are going out to the markets? Because it was always really small, but I bet you it's even smaller now with the prop firms. Why don't you trade when delta is negative and on the same candle price is going up? Doesn't that indicate absorption? Well, because you don't know what the future orders are going to be. Just because you're seeing something now doesn't mean that the future orders will continue doing that. There can be a situation where the short-term traders get off sides. They all go short, and then it moves up on them, and they all have to puke. Okay? And you can identify those. But the first thing that you have to be able to do is to say, well, but what are the other flows that are going on? Right? Like, I have to identify that those traders puking is like the only factor that really matters at that time. Right? Because there's not other flows going on. And if you're getting that kind of absorption, you know, who's filling it? Who are those market orders? And you have to consider that. There's some flow out there that they're absorbing. That flow could continue. And for that matter, who's absorbing? Is this just some random hedge? It might not mean anything. Right? Don't read. You can't just look at the flow itself and read intention into that. You can at times get information about intention and then see it in the order flow. But just from the data itself is not enough. You have to have something that is predicting the future order flow as well. updating yours. Well, you update it to show me. When we go back to using my regular data, you know, it'll be an old version of NinjaTrader, so I won't have that feature anymore. I don't know. There are some things. One of the things that always bothered me was that having to use the bridge and then you can't use any of the jigsaw chart features. That was when the jigsaw charts were like brand new and all that sort of thing. But they're just not as good as the NinjaTrader charts. And there's, you know, that wouldn't bother me so much. But there's features like the spreads and all of that that we absolutely have to have and are essential, and you don't get in Jigsaw. So it kind of makes Jigsaw charts not practical for me. So I never use them. Might as well just use the bridge. But I really didn't like NinjaTrader brokerage. Anyways, it's time for me to get going. We'll take a look at this tomorrow. I can rant about prop firms and everything and that people aren't actually trading. You think that when they change the pattern day trade rule that will change? Because it's a different world when you're trading stocks. Anyways, I'm going to get going, guys. I'll see you tomorrow. Stay up.